Now, this in this chart we are going to select a particular measure, okay, and then allow the user to select what type of plot, say whether to plot it as a bar chart or to plot it as a line chart, for example. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. Okay, so what we are going to do is to bring in order date and change that to month. Okay, so now we are going to plot sales, right. Okay, now you can change the mark type to bar or to line, okay, from here, but you say you want to allow a parameter control, because this is not going to be available, the mark window is not going to be available in a dashboard. So, when you want to use this in a dashboard, you want just one graph and you want the user to be able to select what type of mark you want plotted. So, you can do that using, again, parameter control. Okay, so we now have to create a parameter, right, and let's call this bar or line graph. Okay, there are a couple of ways in which this can be done, and I want to show you how to use the data type Boolean, because oftentimes when you have really large data sets, using Boolean calculations are faster, more efficient than numerical calculations or string based calculations. Booleans is a little more efficient. So, if you can use Boolean, you should use Boolean variable. Boolean meaning what? 0 or 1, okay, just two possible values, binary. Okay. So, select Boolean and then you have true or false, okay, and then you can give aliases for true or false. Instead of having true or false in the parameter control, you can say, so true is bar and false is line. So, if the user selects bar, then this parameter control will return a value true, and if the user selects line, then false will be returned, right. So, click OK. Now, of course, the next step is to make the parameter control visible. So, now you can have bar and line, and they can select, users can select one of the two, but we have not connected it to anything, right. So, that is where calculated fields come in. So, when we set it up, when we set this parameter up as a Boolean, then we have to create two calculated fields, okay, and create two graphs and merge them. So, let us create, okay, let us say plot bar. Okay. So, now here we are going to check, okay, using the if function, all right, we will check bar or line. Okay. Now, when you use if and a Boolean variable, you do not need to do anything else to the Boolean variable in Tableau. So, like you do not have to say is it equal to true, just say if the variable, okay, if the variable is true, then true will be returned. If the variable is false, then false will be returned. So, if bar or line, so that means if this condition is true, then the user has selected bar graph, right. So, then this plot bar is going to be I think just sales. Okay. So then this plot bar will get populated with the actual value of sales. Okay. Else, say null and end is valid. So if the user selects bar, then this variable, this measure, will get populated with sales. Otherwise, it will have all null. Nothing. There will be nothing in that column. Okay. So now create another one. This one I've got plot a line graph. So once again, you need to use an if, but this time you're going to use not bar or line. So this condition will be true when the returned value of the parameter is false. So when the user selects line instead of bar, then the returned value will be false, and when return value is false, not bar or line will be true. So this condition will be correct. So then we want to populate this variable with sales, else null and end. Okay, the calculation is valid. So click OK. So now these two measures, plot bar and plot line, okay, so one of them will be all null, the other one will be all sales, depending upon what the user selects. If the user selects bar, then plot bar will be populated with sales, plot line will be all null. Right? And if the user selects null, it's going to be the other way around. So now instead of plotting sales, so take that out, right? You plot bar and change the mark type to bar and then plot line. So right now plot line has all null values because what we have selected here is bar, and if you change that to a line, now this is, well, we have to so plot line, the mark for plot line must be line. For plot bar, the mark should be, where is mark? So mark should be bar. Okay, so now if you select bar, you have sales populated here and nothing here. If you select line, then the line gets plotted and there is nothing there. Okay. So first thing to do is to get rid of this indicator. So right click, okay, right click and click hide indicator. So now that's gone. Okay. So now we have to put the two together, so that way you don't have one empty panel and then a chart. Okay. So you have to now make the two into dual axis. Okay. And you need to make sure that the both sides, the axes are synchronized. Okay. So then you can get rid of one side, okay, uncheck show header, so that's gone. So now if you select bar, then you have a bar graph. If you select a line, so you get a line graph. Okay, so you can hide this card, you don't need that. And once again, the y-axis text is not correct, right? So you would like this to be the chart type. So how do you do that? Okay. Well, actually, you really don't need that. So you can take that off, because you don't have to tell users that this is a bar graph or this is a line graph. So, all right. And then, of course, you need to give a title and all the rest of it, the formatting. Okay. So, using Boolean, we set up a true false parameter, and using this true false parameter, we populate these two calculated fields. Depending upon what we choose here, one of the two will be populated with sales, the other will be all null. Then you plot both of them and make it into a dual axis plot and synchronize the axis.